frustrated yearning since he could remember. Promises from lips that tremble, broken with a giggle. And I still think of you. I gave you what I thought you wanted. Under the orange tree, I made you into what I needed. Under the orange tree, he went down on bended knee. She straightened him to kiss her. Someday soon, you silly boy, she said, crossing her fingers. And I still think of you. I gave you what I thought you wanted. Under the orange tree, I made you into what I needed. Under the orange tree. But even now you missed my heart by inches.
And we're coming to you live from the Billy C studio in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero, and it's time for Talking Boxing with Billy C. Good morning, good day, good evening. Whenever you listen, hope you're doing all right. We got a busy show scheduled for you today, and but first, let me get going here. I mean, that was abrupt. Our normal intro song, "Shit the Bed." So I apologize for that. But anyway, today's show is being brought to you in part by. Don't you love it? Don't you just love it when stuff like that happens and it totally catches you off guard? Well, then again, maybe you don't know. But today's show is being brought to you in part by The Gentleman Boxer, a great read written about Joe Grimm and some other great fighters in the 1920s. It's really the story of what it was like to experience a fight in the roaring 1920s. And it's a great book. I know some of our regular viewers and listeners have had the chance to read it, and I've gotten nothing but great reviews from it. I myself enjoyed it. You will enjoy it, I guarantee it. Get yourself a copy. You can buy The Gentleman Boxer where all good books are sold, including Amazon.com and Barnes & Noble. And you can even get it directly from the author's website, www.iangrumeza.com. That's IONGRUMEZA.com. Today's show is also being brought to you in part by Dave Koenig's new comedy album. It's called Your Face is Crooked. I don't know if you're into comedy. I certainly love comedy, as if you've ever watched the show. But this was a pretty funny CD. I know it's not going to be fully available until I guess the end of the month. But you could check out a preview copy. www.bscene.media. That's just the letter B, scene, SEEN, media.com/Koenig, KONIG. Check that out. Buy yourself a copy and make sure you tell him Billy C sent you. Today's show is also being brought to you in part by LDL TV. That's right. We're going to be doing a special LDL TV broadcast, not one but two, on Hall of Fame weekend. It's called Billy C's Hall of Fame Weekend Special. We'll be doing two. From what I understand, the first one will be taking place in East Syracuse at a sports bar, and then the second one will be taking place right at Graziano's on in Canastota, New York. So if you're going to be going up to the Hall of Fame this year, I'm sure you're going to want to swing by and check out our show. Now, for all the information and where it's going to be, when it's going to be, listen, this is what you got to do. You got to email John at ldltv.com. John at ldltv.com. If you want to copy me, knock yourself out. But he'll give you all the information. It's going to be huge, and we want you there to be part of it. We know that the one in Syracuse, East Syracuse, is going to be a Billy C get-together. We'll have the other one on Saturday, some special guests. You got to talk to John. Drop him an email. Find out all the information about that. And in case you're wondering, it's free. Of course, it's free. And we will be broadcasting it live. So anybody that is not making the trip up there this year will be able to catch the two shows from the Hall of Fame. So check it out, John at ldltv.com. And finally, today's show is being brought to you in part by the Titty Grab game. It's an adult break the ice game. Get yourself a copy now. All the information about the game can be found on the website, www.tittygrab.com. All right, what we got coming up today, of course, we got the discussion on the fights that took place this weekend. Jean Pascal defeating Lucien Bute, and then also some fights from Friday night. Just in a nutshell, listen, none of the fights kept my attention, to be honest with you. A lot of people said they thought Pascal looked great. Oh, he looked great. Yeah, well, Bute looked like, he doesn't want to fight anymore. To me, he's lost his desire to fight. And Pascal, no disrespect to him, he's fought nothing but the best opposition. He doesn't. I don't know. He doesn't impress me, but I'll get to that a little bit later. Also, on the news side, apparently a lot of stuff going on with your guy's hero, certainly not mine, Floyd Mayweather. Over in South Africa, the people of South Africa are totally pissed. They can't stand the fact that he was even there because he snubbed them all off and everything else. Now it becomes a bigger issue. Apparently, the cost of bringing Mayweather there and his posse, remember, he brought a whole bunch of people with him, was all paid for by the South African government, and a lot of people are outraged over that since, as you know, a big part of that country could use money for other things, let alone bringing the idiot over there. And here's the other thing. He has made it official that his last fight will be September 2015, which means we got 2 fights this year, 2 fights next year. Looks like he's going to be walking away at the end of his deal with Showtime. So we'll be talking about that a little bit later. Also, we have the Alfredo Angulo and Saul Canelo Alvarez. The undercard looks pretty good. Pretty good, got to admit, looks pretty good. Do I still think that the main event is worth the pay-per-view? No. And you know what? I don't think that just by filling up a card with decent fights also justifies that. I personally think we need to leave pay-per-views alone for the elite fighters making, elite defenses or fighting in elite fights, a la Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather. But we'll talk about that and some other stuff. I got a slew of emails today, that are in the pile. So let me get started with those because I can't really let them build up. Otherwise, we'll be reading emails all day long, all week long. And speaking of this week, we do have some special programming notes. We will not be doing a live show tomorrow. That's Tuesday. And we are also not doing a live show on Friday. So mark those down so don't get all pissed off that I'm going to ruin your week. But you can check out the replays on Fight Now TV, and you'll give you a chance to go back and watch or listen to some of the previous shows, especially if you're a premium podcast subscriber. All right. The first thing I want to start off with the emails. I get emails sometimes, and I get comments left. I don't get to read them all and everything else, but I try to read positive and negatives, So if you're disagreeing with something that I feel or whatever, it doesn't mean I'm not going to read your email. As a matter of fact, I welcome negativity, but there is something in all seriousness that really pisses me off. And to me, it's a sign of ignorance and stupidity. And that is when you, and I'm saying you because I know these guys are trolls and they don't miss a show. But I can't stand when people call me a racist just because I don't like Floyd Mayweather. I don't like the guy. Can't stand him. All right, you want to know the truth? I hate him. And I'm not afraid to admit it. If I had the chance, I'd punch him in his face. That's how much I hate him. All right? But here's the truth. It doesn't make me a racist just because I don't like Floyd Mayweather. And that's the sad part. The sad part is that Floyd has built up this persona, to try to attract, his black fans, and anybody that doesn't like him is racist. I think that's totally absurd. If anybody knows me, they know that I'm far from racist. That's number one. Number two, if they knew me, they would also know that I wrote a book about Tom Molyneux and how grossly underappreciated this freed United States slave was in 1810, not to be included in our history books. And if you read my book, all the people that accuse me of being racist, you'll see that I'm appalled that he's not mentioned. And that he's not even considered our first American heavyweight when he certainly was our first American heavyweight champion. So I just want to go on record as saying, the people that accuse me of being racist just because I can't stand Floyd Mayweather, you're ignorant. And, it bothers me to a degree, but I'm never going to comment on it again. I want to make sure that all my regular viewers and listeners know it, and I'm sure they do, because anybody, all they have to do is if you know me and you've listened to this show, all you got to do is start thinking about my favorite fighters. And if I was racist, would there be any black ones in there? Most of them are black. All of them are black. The only two white all-time favorite fighters I have that I'm thinking about right off the top of my head is Dempsey and Marciano. What other, I can't even think. I like Basilio and I like Jake LaMotta, but they're not like my all-time favorites. My all-time favorites are mostly the black fighters. I love Jack Johnson, Mike Tyson, Sonny Liston. The list goes on and on. So I'm bothered by the fact that, just because if somebody made a statement that I was racist because I made a statement of something and I had to explain myself, that's fine. That really, because it's still not true, but at least it's an educated opinion, right? But somebody that's just calling me a racist just because I don't like Floyd, that's ridiculous. And let me throw another one at those same dumb people, those ignorant, unintelligent people. Here's another thing. I don't like President Obama either. Does that make me a racist? Come on, man. Come on. Give me a break. I think it's classless to even accuse me of that. Anyway, Ramiro Guerrero says Julio Cesar Chavez is a boxing legend, in my opinion. He's the greatest aggressive fighter and body puncher in the history of boxing. No one else has had the aggressive skills or body punching skill that Chavez has had. I have him in my top 10 pound for pound list. He's certainly the greatest super lightweight of all time. And out of all the boxers today, Chavez is superior to them all. The only boxer today that is in Chavez's level is Floyd Mayweather. Mayweather is certainly the greatest boxer of this era, as Chavez was in his era. However, in a dream fight between these two, I think that in one of his most challenging fights, Chavez would beat Mayweather. I just think Chavez's aggressive and body punching skills would have been enough to beat what's considered the greatest defensive boxer of all time, which I disagree with, Romero. But like I said, it would have been a really difficult fight for Chavez because of Mayweather's amazing defensive skill, but I still think Chavez would have beaten Mayweather. Romero Guerrero, I agree with you. I think that Julio Cesar Chavez would have beaten Floyd Mayweather Jr. Without a problem. I mean, and to say he's the greatest defensive fighter of all time is a complete inaccurate statement. What you said originally, that he's, arguably, because, there could be some other fighters you throw in there, but arguably the best fighter of his era, yes, it would be hard to dispute it. I know that some people would, but it would be hard to dispute it. The best defensive fighter ever, never happened. Today's fighter in today's era, I don't even think he's the best. I think Rigondeaux is a better defensive fighter than Floyd Mayweather. So Romero, I agree with you about Chavez, but I think you're being a little too. I don't know. I think you're giving Floyd a little too much credit on the other stuff. But anyway, I'm going to take a short break. I'll be back in 2. Got some more emails. If you're in upstate New York and you need a trucking company, then you need Roselli Enterprises. Roselli Enterprises is trucking at its finest. They have it all. Dump trucks, dump trailers, walk-in floors, flatbeds, flowboys, tankers, loaders, and a full line of roll-off containers for any job, big or small. Roselli Enterprises is also the source for all your sand, gravel, and topsoil needs. Visit them on the web at RoselliTrucking.com or call 315-433-5115. That's 315-433-5115 and tell them Billy C sent you.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
We've got a great matchup tonight. Fighting out of the left corner is the #1 ranked contender.
No, he is not.
I'm sorry, but who are you?
I am the IBO computer. I am programmed to provide only fair and unbiased boxing rankings. This fighter is the #15 ranked contender.
Fair and unbiased boxing rankings? That's a new concept.
Actually, it is not. The IBO has provided unbiased computerized rankings for many years.
Well, we've still got a great fight tonight, folks. In the left corner is the #15 ranked contender.
The IBO, the champion of integrity. Learn more at IBOBoxing.com.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you!
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
As a young boy, all Billy C dreamed about was one day having his own catchphrase.
And we're back. And we're back.
One boy, one dream, one day, everyone will say.
And we're back. 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 And we're back.
Catchphrase coming soon to a theater near you.
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. Hey, man, we got a goal. We're trying to get to 10,000 Twitter followers, and we need your help. Follow us, damn it. It's at Talkin' Boxing, TalkinBoxing. While you're at it, join our Facebook groups, Billy C Boxing, and also Talking Boxing with Billy C. Appreciate it. Yeah, I mentioned just before we went to break, I wasn't a big Obama fan, but I will tell you this. I do agree with a statement that President Obama made, I guess, over the weekend, or, probably not over the weekend. I think he's on vacation again, but he just recently made a statement that he feels that marijuana is less dangerous than alcohol. And I agree with that statement. So, hey, it's not like I dislike him personally. I just don't like the job he's doing. Anyway, Riri Hope Says Floyd fans do not care if he ever fights Manny. You're pleading your case too much. Then again, you're a Manny Pacquiao fan. P.S. Rios is not a good fighter, and Manny chose him to make his comeback. P.S. Another P.S. See, Riri, if you were smart, you would know. I mean, I don't know how far you got in school, but usually P.S. is for the first one, and then P.S.S. is for the second one. So I'll assume you just forgot to put that S there. He says P.S.S. Sugar Ray Robinson was great, but he also made sure he would not fight certain fighters. LOL. First of all, Floyd fans don't care if he ever fights Manny because they drank his Kool-Aid, and they're dismissing the reason why all of the true boxing fans want to see the fight, and it has nothing to do with whether they like Floyd or whether they like Manny. So you're missing the point, Riri. So I'm not going to get into it. Also, as far as Rios not being a good fighter, that's a ridiculous statement. He's an above-average fighter. Does he stand right in front of you and fight and want to fight in a phone booth? Yeah, that's his style. But to say that that equates to him not being a good fighter, that means you're probably also the same kind of guy that thinks Floyd's fights are entertaining as hell. And whenever I feel like I can't sleep, I slap on a Floyd fight because to me they're the most boring fights ever. And to suggest that Sugar Ray Robinson was great, but he also made sure he would not fight certain fighters, that is a complete incorrect statement. There was only one fighter, that Sugar Ray Robinson refused to fight, and it wasn't because he was scared. It was because that the guy just makes it very difficult. And to be honest with you, the guy was a great fighter, and I mean, that's Charlie Burley. That's the only guy. But here's the difference. You see, Sugar Ray Robinson, who, by the way, was an extremely tough negotiator. He happened to have been the first fighter to ever negotiate television revenue, way before anyone else. So, there's a lot of similarities with making smart business moves, and Sugar Ray Robinson certainly did. But here's a big difference between Sugar Ray Robinson and your hero, Riri. Sugar Ray Robinson made it a point to prove how great he was, and he fought above and beyond, outside of his comfort zone many, many times. And the other thing is that Sugar Ray Robinson, he stayed away from Charlie Burley, but that was it. I mean, this was a guy that wanted to prove beyond any doubt that he was great, and he did. So I mean, come on. And the bottom line with Sugar Ray Robinson is you just can't compare the two. You just can't. Different eras, different weight classes, the whole nine. But there is something that is important to mention. Sugar Ray Robinson fought everyone that was available to him, with the exception of the one guy, and he had the balls enough to admit it. He would say it. He would say, "I'm not fighting him. I'm not fighting him because his style is hard. It's not fan friendly. I'm not fighting him." Floyd Mayweather doesn't have the balls to admit that. He points the finger and blames everybody else. That's what bullies do. That's what punks do. They blame everybody else for everything else. They never look in the mirror and say it's his fault. Just like when he beat up his girlfriend in front of his kids. He blamed it on the girlfriend, remember? He egged her on. He did this, he did that. When he beat up the 19-year-old security guard with the pimples all over his face because he was going against his homeowner's agreement where he lives in his gated community, and he jumped out to beat up the security guard. Wasn't that a guy just doing his job? But then, Floyd had to blame him for hassling him, because he's black. That's what he said, which is a complete ridiculous statement. So, yeah, you can believe what you want, Riri Hope. Thanks for taking the time to send us an email. I feel sorry for you, man. The next one is Strongest Man. Says, hey, Billy C., thanks for the reply on the fantasy matchups. I agree with most of it, but I think Matisse would beat Maidana because he's a better boxer. Matisse has underrated boxing ability and seems a little faster too. Also, I think a rematch with Garcia would be different. The eye swelling wasn't even caused by the punch. I saw some footage of it on YouTube, and a punch that Garcia threw missed, and his arm grazed Matisse's eye and caused it to swell instantly. Also, Richard Schaefer said that the Porter versus Thurman fight might happen next, which is also great. I agree. I agree, but I think Floyd's fans know that Floyd is the reason the fight isn't happening and are just trying to cover it up, which is quite sad to see. I think Pacquiao would have beaten Floyd in his prime, but I'm not so sure anymore. He's slowed down, and we still don't really know what the Marquez knockout did to him because Rios didn't answer any questions about Pacquiao. And finally, he says a lot of people have told me that Floyd was robbed in the Olympics. I haven't watched the match, so I can't comment. So I wanted to know if you knew anything about it. First of all, I'm not, and this actually goes back to ignorant Riri Hope. That I'm not a Pacquiao fan. There's many more fighters that I like better than Manny Pacquiao. I think Manny Pacquiao is entertaining, and I agree with the strongest man that if this fight took place a few years ago, I would have put my money on Manny Pacquiao. But if the fight does take place before Floyd packs it in, which is September of 2015, I have a feeling Floyd would win. I would probably pick Floyd. As far as, let's see, what's the other stuff? Matisse. Hey, you know what? I like Matisse. As far as Maidana and Matisse, listen, let's see it. Let's see a rematch with Garcia. I mean, listen, Danny Garcia has done everything that he's been asked to do. Every time I thought that he would come up short, he didn't. He won. I mean, I think he's the real deal. I think he's getting better and better. As far as Floyd being robbed in the Olympics, again, I'm just going to say this. In boxing is subjective. And, when we put decisions, especially in the amateurs, in the judges' hands, and judges are subjective as well. So to say he was ripped off and robbed and all of that stuff, I'm not going to agree with it, because I think, just like I said earlier, Floyd Mayweather is a guy that blames everyone else when things don't go right for him, and then pounds on his chest when they do. So, he lost. He lost in the Olympics. I mean, end of story. He came home with a bronze. That's better than I could ever do. It's better than most people could ever do. I wasn't implying that it wasn't a great accomplishment for him to not only make the Olympic team, but to participate and come home with a bronze. But I'm not going to cry robbery, because the judges are subjective. End of story. The only time you cry robbery is when, a fighter clearly wins. It's not a close fight, and a fighter clearly wins, and then, pretty much everybody. I mean, the last robbery we saw, arguably, it might have happened this past weekend, but the last total robbery, in my opinion, was Pacquiao against Timothy Bradley. But again, that's not Timothy Bradley's fault. I mean, we call it a robbery as a discussion piece, but, the bottom line is three judges, three subjective opinions, and that's what it's all about. If Manny Pacquiao wanted to secure a victory against Timothy Bradley, he had the guy on one broken ankle, one twisted leg, whatever the hell it was. He lets his foot off the gas and doesn't finish him off? Come on. So I mean, really, Manny, as much as I feel that the fight should have went to Manny, I also think, come on, Manny let his foot off the gas, so he deserves it. Thanks for the email, strongest man. Mr. AMN 2004 says, I think Manny beats Floyd. Pacquiao punches for so many different angles. He's quick and he has power. I say the same thing myself, Mr. AMN 2004. He says, I don't think Floyd would be able to figure him out. Neither do I. He says he would try to pot shot him, but Manny's quick enough to catch him coming in. Only way Floyd wins is if he runs all night like a girl. And I agree with you there. I do agree with you, Mr. AMN 2004. He goes on to say, This episode, which is Friday's episode, was total Floyd smashing. Awesome. Give him an IQ test, and we'll see how great he is. Yeah, I did say that. Listen, that's because my man, Nobody Here, got me all riled up with his email, and I got news for you. He's got another long one here that we're going to read to a little later. But let me just make that comment. Let me explain how I said that comment and how I meant it. Everybody says how smart he is. And in the ring, he certainly looks the part. But everybody also gives him all this credit for being a super intelligent businessman and making all the smart moves and all that stuff. That's where I think he may be totally fooling everybody. You know, he surrounded himself with a lot of smart guys that I believe are making the decision. Because when you do hear Floyd Mayweather speak, there's no sign of intelligence in his voice. Really, there's not. And, you know, being smart enough to pick the right people, you got to give him credit. You got to give him credit. But if I'm totally wrong and if it's all Floyd and he makes all these business shots, then you know what? It's far from just being smart. You would think that he would be a genius. And, you know what I always say. You know, if my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
Broadcasting in all corners of the globe, on the web and radio. He would scoff at a stretch of that man, I would think. You're listening to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. From upstate New York and the good old US of A.
Boxing is here to stay because we are here to stay.
The best 2 hours of boxing talk on the airwaves.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. And tell him Billy C sent ya.
Now back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C, the only radio host man enough to take a punch from Mike Tyson.
Wait a minute, man. Hold on there. Jeremy, man, I need you to take this one, all right?
Wait, what? No way. I can't do this.
Need I remind you I'm Billy C, damn it? Now put on that mustache and get in there.
Hey, look at me. I'm Billy C. Crap.
The undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. It's Talkin' Boxing with Billy C.
Test 1 2. Test 1 2. My fellow Americans, good evening. Welcome back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It's great to be here discussing the sweet science with everybody. I love boxing. I love talking boxing. It's what I do.
Bill.
Wait, what?
Bill.
Why are you interrupting me? What?
Wrong.
What's
wrong,
the problem?
Billy,
what?
C.
I did not have...
We're gonna have to ask you.
Wrong speech. What do you mean wrong, Billy C? What's going on here? Fine, I'll go. I just wanted to talk some boxing on TPSradio.net. That's all I wanted to do. I don't need your damn show. I'll get my own talking wrestling with the other Billy C. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah. I've always been a Hulkamaniac anyway.
Broadcasting live, brother. Welcome back to Talking Boxing with Billy C on the mighty TPSradio.net, brother. What you gonna do, brother?
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. Glad you could join us. And if you don't have the Fight Now channel in your sports channel lineup, then you're missing the boat, man. You got to call your local television provider and tell them that you want Fight Now right now. All the information about the channel can be found on their website, www.fightnow.com. Now, coming up a little bit later, we're doing the all the fight results. Jean Pascal defeats Lucien Bute. A little questionable fight against Mike Perez and Carlos Takim. We also had some fights from Friday night we'll talk about. All of that's coming up in a little bit. By the way, scheduled later in this week, we have the Blast from the Past on Wednesday is going to feature former world multi-division world champion and boxing Hall of Famer Sugar Ray Leonard. Alex Papali will be joining me for that. On Thursday, my man Larry Hazard will be joining us, and Dax Khan as well, and we'll be keeping stuff going. Also on Friday, we'll be opening up the phone lines. We'll give you all of the fights that we're picking and all that happy stuff. But let me get through some of these emails. We have a bunch of them from this weekend. Deli Boy 94 says, "What do you make of the proposed fight between Adonis Stevenson and Andre Fonfara?" Deli Boy thinks. He says, I think it's a decent fight, but they need to get Kovalev versus Stevenson made soon, because if one takes a loss, the fight goes out the window. For me, Kovalev versus Stevenson is the best fight that could be made this year. Well, he's got another comment here, but let me comment on this. You guys got to stop with this loss thing, all right? Listen, it's part of the Kool-Aid and the propaganda that has been spewed from you-know-who. And the interest in having an O, and the fact that people equate being undefeated to quality is wrong. It's, again, I'm going to whip out the page that when they were calling me a racist. It's ignorant and it's stupid. All right. The bottom line is it's a stupid thing. All right. You can't fall for that BS. It's not a true statement, all right? Just because, and by the way, Adonis Stevenson does have a loss, but I know what you're saying, but here's the thing. You can't assume that a fight, and this isn't just for us, the fans. This is for the networks. The networks are the biggest to blame. We need to blame the networks the most, because they got Johnny Smith making the decisions, who's never been at a live event. He's never punched anybody in the face. He doesn't know a left hook from a fish hook, and yet he's making decisions on who's going to fight on his network. That's the beginning of the problem. So what are these uneducated in boxing? I'm not talking about uneducated all the way, but uneducated in boxing. How do they make the decision? Well, they look at a record and they say, "Oh, he's undefeated. He's 29-0. He must be good." He's 29-0. They don't look at the other fights. That's another thing. BoxRec, they're so, gung-ho about how they rank fighters, computer-wise and everything else. A lot of times I'm not so sure that that's a correct ranking. I just recently had been looking at a fighter, and yeah, he has a bunch of losses, but, don't you take into consideration the guys that you lose to? I mean, if you're fighting a world champion and he beats your ass, is that like, getting beat up by a guy that's got 3 wins and 10 losses? I mean, come on. So please don't equate an O with quality. That's it. Now, as far as the fight itself, I agree with Deli Boy. I want to see Adonis Stevenson and Kovalev. The fight will happen. Listen, they're trying to marinate it a little bit. They have a venue, they have a promoter, they have television for it. They got everything lined up. Now, what do they want to do in the meantime? They want to get a couple of fights under each of their belts so they can make some money. All right. Adonis Stevenson against Andre Fonfara. Fonfara is a good young fighter. He's got a lot of fan support. He's got a lot of Polish fans, which they buy tickets, they support. Hey, listen, Polish fans support their fighters. There's no question about that. And by the way, I love Polish women. But Stevenson, he's just starting to become pretty big. You could see that this past weekend on HBO. The treatment he was getting and everything else. So I think that Fonfara is a good fighter, but not Stevenson's level. And I think this is just a title defense and an opportunity to make a payday. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see Kovalev do something similar and maybe even fight in the same card. And then ultimately those two paths will cross. It'll happen. Don't worry. And Deli Boy says, also Carl Frampton says he wants to go the WBC route to a title. And that would mean fighting Leo Santa Cruz. That would be a great fight. How do you see it going? I love both of those fighters, and that's a great question, Deli Boy. Carl Frampton is a really good fighter, and I love him. I love watching him. But Leo Santa Cruz is one of those special fighters, and I'm not meaning special in talent necessarily. Special in talent, you look at a guy, even though I don't like him, Floyd Mayweather is a special talent, fighters, Guillermo Rigondeaux is a special talent, even Manny Pacquiao is a special talent. And Carl Frampton is a quality fighter, but I'm not so sure he's a special talent. Leo Santa Cruz is a special talent, not because of his ability, like I mentioned with those examples, Rigondeaux and Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao, but a guy like Leo Santa Cruz who's nonstop, throwing punches, never seems to get tired. But here's the part that I like the most. He wins a fight. He doesn't knock his opponent out, and he apologizes to his fans. His head is down. He's depressed. He feels he let his fans down. That's something that you don't teach. I don't care how skilled you are inside the ring. That's something you don't teach. And it's hard to root against a guy like that, at least in my opinion. But it's hard to root against Carl Frampton, too. I like the fight. As a matter of fact, I'm interested in seeing it. I would lean towards Leo Santa Cruz at this stage. But I'll tell you what. Carl Frampton has, stepped up to the plate and has done everything that's been expected of him, since he's turned pro. So, great email, Deli. Harold from Los Angeles says, "Hey Billy C, great show. I can't believe that we still have not seen Floyd and man. Hey, just do me a favor, everybody. Don't complain to me that I keep talking about this guy, because you guys keep. I'm starting to lose my mind here with this guy. Come on. There's so many other fighters I'd rather be talking about than this clown. Anyway, Harold says, I can't believe we haven't seen Floyd and Manny, and that's a good point, because it's ridiculous that we haven't. He says, these past 5 to 6 years have been like watching a terrible sitcom. If these two fought back when the whole world was begging to see it, and even when here in the States, this fight was getting a lot of attention, despite being an overlooked sport here in the U.S., I'm sure boxing would be way bigger than what it is now. The reason why I love boxing today is because my father and I went to my uncle's house to watch my very first boxing match, and it was De La Hoya versus Felix Trinidad back in 1999. I was only 9 years old, and I remember it like it was yesterday. Billy C, I believe we lost a few generations of boxing fans with this fight not happening. With that being said, I hope Khan beats Floyd, because I think that would be hilarious. I feel that his cherry picking will backfire on him sooner or later. Again, thanks for the great show. Harold, thanks for the email. Listen, I would love to see Floyd get beat by somebody like Amir Khan, but it's not going to happen. Floyd is a fighter that has calculated his career. He so much so. Part of the news that was out today is that he's even mentioned that his very last fight will take place in September of 2015. So you don't need to take socks and shoes off to figure out he's got 4 more fights. I find it very hard to believe that he'll ever man up and fight Manny Pacquiao. Even though, who else is he going to fight? Anybody that cherry picks his opponent. And listen, like I got harassed a few weeks back, I'm not against any British fighter. I like Amir Khan. I just don't think that it's justified that he fights Floyd Mayweather, especially in a weight class that he's never fought in before. And I love the Floyd fans that are always criticizing Manny, saying, he lost 2 of his last 3 fights, he was knocked out, and this and that. Amir Khan, last I looked, man, he was knocked out a couple of times. And last I looked, he won 2 of his last 4 fights. and look terrible in them. So I'm sure they'll find something positive to say. As far as losing fans, I think this is what's aggravating to me. I think that Floyd and his fans and his style is hurting the sport. I know people think I'm nuts, but I'll tell you why. All the other fights that we talk about, the fights that people love to talk about the Monday after today, right? The fight, although it ended somewhat in tragedy because of what happened to Mago Abdulzimov against Mike Perez. Man, everybody was talking about it. Any fight with Triple G in it, everybody's talking about it on Monday. People criticize Bam Bam Rios all of a sudden. The Floyd fans criticize Bam Bam Rios, saying he's not a quality fighter. Really? That's why everybody's always talking about his fights the day after. Manny Pacquiao, win, lose, or draw. Everybody's talking about his fights, how entertaining they were. The point is that entertainment. Boxing is an entertaining sport. It's entertainment. Yes, the whole bottom line is that, to hit and not be hit is the definition of the sweet science. But as Alex T mentioned several weeks back in an email, it doesn't mean throw a punch and then run and then get back in position, throw a punch and then run. No, be in a position to strike your opponent and have him miss. So in other words, have your opponent miss and then make him pay for it. By landing several punches, be in position to strike. That is the definition of the sweet science. And there's a lot of fighters that do that. Now, I'm not suggesting with this example, but I love to use it. Floyd Mayweather obviously is more refined in the sweet science of boxing than Manny Pacquiao. However, Manny Pacquiao can certainly be in a position to avoid a punch with his head movement, as little as he has, and then be in a position from multiple angles to land and do damage on his opponent, something Floyd can't do. Floyd does damage enough to win, but he doesn't do damage to really hurt his opponent, and that is obvious with the lack of knockouts we see with the guy. So, I'm not so sure we lost fans. I think we lost a generation of fans to MMA, but I think boxing is in a resurgence, and with some of these great fights that they are making, that are coming up, I think our audience is getting big again, and more people are following it, and I think it's good. I think it's good for the sport. But anyway, thanks for the email, Harold from Los Angeles, California. Hawk Mustang says, forget about trying to use boxing history, boxing knowledge, reason, logic, or any of this when you debate a Floyd fan. They just don't get it. I used to do it. It doesn't work. You will just frustrate yourself. They are a real stupid type of, I'm not going to say what he says, fanboy. I've never seen any boxing fans this biased and stupid ever. I've found it best just to roast Floyd and his fans every chance you get. It's much more fun, too. I got to agree with I got to agree with that whole sentiment. As a matter of fact, I have a tear welling up in my eye, Hawk. I couldn't have said it better. As a matter of fact, I got to give you you said it perfectly. And I agree with Hawk 100%. Jermaine Jones says Floyd has never fought an active Arum fighter. It's that simple. He fought Cotto when he had a break from Arum. Yeah, okay, Jermaine. That's cool. But what are you saying here, bro? Are you saying that he doesn't want to fight anybody that's with Arum just because of Arum? And I can relate to that. But even Bob Arum and his arch rival Don King, even they worked together when there was a lot of money on the line. I just can't listen. If Floyd and you know what, Floyd might be. I know some of his diehard fans think he's smart with his money and everything else. I think he's going to end up broke because I think, no, he doesn't do drugs. No, he doesn't drink. But he does spend his money on stupid stuff like a lot of cars. And, of course, he's a gambler. And, when those $40 million paydays stop coming, and he lives like, he's got his own plane. He wants to go to the convenience store. He flies there, But, it's just, it's just like this, Jermaine. Is he really going to walk away from $150 million just because he hates Bob Arum? And if the answer is yes, then A, Floyd is so financially secure, and he's got money put away that he can never get to buy a car or property or gamble or something like that, and he'll always have a lot of money over his head. If he's set up like that, then you know what? More power to him to be able to shun his nose at $150 million. But if he is such a smart businessman, like he claims to be, then what smart businessman would turn away $150 million? I mean, listen, you can say that he hates Arum. You could say that he hates Pacquiao. And even the Pacquiao fans can say that he's afraid of Pacquiao. You could say all those things. But I'm not going to believe it. I'm not going to believe one of those things, because the main part of it is a good businessman does not turn his back on $150 million. I'm sorry. So there has to be more reasons to it. There has to be. Jermaine, thank you for the comment. We appreciate it. We got another one. Stuart. This is from my man Stuart. He says, what 3 fighters would you like to see Floyd? You guys are killing me. What 3 fighters would you like to see Floyd face? Now, he says, and who would you give the best chance of beating him? I think right now the only fighter that has a chance of beating Triple G. What's your thoughts? Listen, I like Triple G. He's an entertaining fighter. Listen, as much as I'm negative about Floyd, I don't know if there is a fighter that can beat Floyd out there right now, including Triple G. But I feel that Floyd, and I keep emphasizing this, and a lot of people just they don't hear this part of when I talk negatively about Floyd. I wouldn't be saying anything about Floyd because I've learned that I need to keep what he does outside of the ring separate. And there's really when he's been keeping his nose clean, so there's really not much to talk about there. But if he didn't say that he was the best fighter ever, how could you argue with anything that he does? He started that. It's the same thing with David Haye. David Haye started the crap with Klitschko. Then he lays the egg. You can't, Deontay Wilder's the same thing. You can't, if you open the door to that kind of criticism, you got to face the music when it comes. So with that said, the 3 fighters that I'd like to see him fight, well, first of all, you have to put Manny Pacquiao in that mix, because Manny Pacquiao is the guy that is the only, throughout Floyd's recent career, the last, 8 to 10 years, Manny Pacquiao has been a rival. A rival in a sense of who's the number 1 pound for pound. A rival in a sense that he's accomplished more than Floyd in terms of trinket belts. A rival when some people love Pacquiao and they hate Floyd, and other people love Floyd and hate Pacquiao. I mean, he's a rival. And he's the only name that, people mention when they talk about Floyd. And it's like everybody accepts Floyd's cherry picking except there. They say that he's got to fight Pacquiao. Now, the only people that don't say that are his fans. So I would say, first and foremost, the 3 fighters I'd like to see him face, Manny Pacquiao's got to be one. And it doesn't have to be in this order, but Manny Pacquiao has to be one. The second one has to be Timothy Bradley, because aside from Manny Pacquiao, Timothy Bradley, in my opinion, is the best welterweight out there, excluding Floyd. So, I mean, you would think that Floyd would have to go for Timothy Bradley. Now, he's already started those excuses, remember? He started them a couple of weeks ago about Timothy Bradley. In addition to being involved with Top Rank, he said Timothy Bradley's not a big enough draw. Well, I thought Floyd was a big enough draw. I thought Floyd was a big enough draw to fight me, to fight little orphan Annie, whoever, whatever cherry-picked fight he's going to pick I mean, he's the man, right? So, I mean, what's the big deal? As far as the third fighter, I would love him to fight Triple G. And, all great fighters. Wednesday, we're doing a blast from the past on Sugar Ray Leonard. Sugar Ray Leonard is a great fighter. He's an all-time great. Why? Because he tried to accomplish things that, was going to set him apart from everyone else. That's the difference. Roy Jones Jr., people criticize Roy Jones Jr., but he set himself apart when he was in his prime. And he won the world heavyweight title, and then went back down and won the world light heavyweight title. First person to do that in 100 years. I mean, that separates you. When you're an elite fighter and you already know that your legacy is going to get you in a Hall of Fame and you're going to be in the discussion of all-time great fighters, if you're okay with that, if that's your goal, then fine. But don't tell people you're the best ever and then cherry pick your opponents and not try to, prove it inside the ring. All the greats proved it or tried to. Sugar Ray Robinson, Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler. Do I have to keep going on and on and on? Because you can. You can. I mean, every great, all-time great fighter that you talk about, you can mention. And then when you look at their career, you can see that they did all this other stuff to prove how great they were. They pushed themselves to see how great they were. He doesn't. So what's he going to end up doing? His legacy will be 49-50-0. That's his legacy. Does that make him the greatest fighter ever? Just because he's undefeated? Does that make him the best ever? Because he went 50-0? I mean, is that all you're going to look at? Man, I'm glad I'm not going to be around. Because if I'm around for that, I'll be sick to my stomach. Thanks for the email, Stuart. We got another one. Got several more here. I'm trying to get through so we don't get backlogged during the week. We got the news to talk about, the fight results. I can't wait to give you I wish somebody would write about that. But anyway, this one's from Carlo. He says, I don't want to bring up this fraud, but I have to. Why does Floyd make it sound like the fight with Pacquiao is a charity event for him, like he's not going to get paid? He says he will get the biggest check in the history of sports. Geez, of course his fans believe him. What a joke. I agree with you, Carlo. I've said it a million times. Carlo says, I have a few more thoughts. I really think that Floyd fans don't want Floyd to fight Manny either. They make excuses for him left and right because they share the same fear Floyd does. Floyd fans feed off of the O, and they equate the O to talent. He says, I really think Manny put doubt in Floyd's mind, and because of that, he won't fight Pacquiao. He won't because he's just buck. He also says that a fight with Manny is not needed or it's not important. Oh, yeah, so how come whenever he is, the question when he is, the question is about a fight with Manny. All you see on boxing channels is Manny versus Floyd. This will always haunt him wherever he goes. I really hope Floyd fans wake up and realize that he's stuck in Manny. No, he's not going to. The fans aren't going to realize. But Floyd's going to kick himself in the ass for the rest of his life. Because you're right, Carlo. Floyd will be haunted by that question forever. Ever. He'll be haunted. Why didn't that fight happen? What was the deal? And he's going to stick to it. He didn't deserve it. He didn't do this. I'm the man, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And finally, he says, one of Floyd and his fans' favorite quotes, the numbers don't lie. And Carlos says, Manny Pacquiao's last fight had over 500,000 pay-per-views. Robert the Ghost Guerrero never had a pay-per-view. Amir Khan has never had a pay-per-view. So why doesn't Pacquiao deserve to fight him? And then Carlos says, numbers don't lie. Good point. Hey, listen, I'm going to take a short break because I got to catch my breath. And then we got let's see, 3 more emails, but I got to warn you, one is pretty long. I won't mention any names, but that damn nobody here.
Talkin' Boxing with Billy C now has official merchandise available on TalkinBoxing.com. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, and mugs. And yes, even undergarments. Talkin' Boxing apparel is the perfect gift for the boxing fan in your life. log on to www.talkinboxing.com. That's TALKINBOXING.com and place your order today.
Join us here for 2 hours as Billy and the gang do what they do best.
Every time I start talking about boxing, a white man got to pull Rocky Marciano out their ass. Rocky Marciano was good, but compared to Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano ain't.
Beat Joe Louis's ass.
Joe Louis was 75 years old when he fought.
Huh? What?
We're supposed to be talking boxing.
It's Talking Boxing with Billy C.
As Billy C sits here in the multi-million-dollar Talkin' Boxing Studios, sipping a fine wine before you're even out of bed, you should be thinking, damn, I wish I had a mustache like his. It's the Talkin' Boxing with Billy C show. He's Billy C, and you're not. Sucks to be you.
Now let's dig into our archives and hear a rare interview when Billy C first became the champion of boxing talk radio. Hello, Billy C. As the new champ, can we ask you a few questions?
Why, certainly.
Okay, your fans would like to know how you and your corner have successfully walloped the competition.
We're not ordinary people. We're morons.
Anything else?
I'm a victim of circumstance.
Did your success finally come when you made the show 5 days a week for 2 hours? What do you think?
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Now, please tell the listeners what you've learned from making it this far.
Certainly. If at first you don't succeed, keep on sucking till you do succeed.
Great words of wisdom, Billy C. Keep up the great work as the undisputed People's Champion with your show, Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. Any last words to anyone who's listening?
This is your fault, you bonehead.
And, well, you know, we're back, man. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. Glad you could join us. And if you don't have the Fight Now channel in your sports channel lineup, you need to call your local television provider and tell them that you want Fight Now right now. All the information about the channel can be found on the website, www.fightnow.com. And I want to remind everybody, today's show and from now until, I guess, June, the show is being brought to us in part by LDL TV. Now, the reason why I mention that is because you got to drop LDL TV an email, john@ldltv.com. Now, why? Because we are going to be doing not one, but two Boxing Hall of Fame up in Canastota, 2 special live broadcasts during Hall of Fame weekend. And John at LDLTV.com is the guy with all the answers. So if you're looking to find out where it's going to be, I will tell you this. There's going to be 2. There's going to be a Billy C get-together at a sports bar in East Syracuse, which is a couple of exits up from Canastota. And then the other night will be at Graziano's, right in Canastota. So if you're interested in finding out the information, and I hope you show up because we're expecting huge crowds, definitely drop John an email. There may be some other things you might want to find out from him directly. John at LDLTV.com. I can't wait for that. All right, here we go. We got my man Nobody Here has got a very long email, and then he actually followed up with another one. So he's got a lot on his mind, and you know what? He took the time to write it. I'm going to take the time to read it. He says, regarding the Floyd Mayweather Kool-Aid situation that we had last week, and our phone crapped out, and he was going to call back, but I had enough anyway. My head was pounding after that. But he says, first, the spirit of my email was not to get you fired up. You did get me fired up, man. But he says, but just see if we could talk about the questions that Floyd Mayweather poses as if they had merit, even though we both know that Floyd Mayweather's position is filled with BS. Part of it is Floyd Mayweather being the perpetual villain. Part of it's politics, and part of it is just money. You see, the difference between me and you, Nobody Here, is that you still want to give him some kind of credit. You want to try to justify what he's doing, and you try to give me these examples. And I mean, we're beating a dead horse. But as for the $100 million, he says if Manny can exit his contract after 2014, then it behooves Floyd Mayweather to wait. There's no reason to give Top Rank extra ammo going forward. In business, it's better for both parties to lose than one party to win. So I don't fault him for that. If the contract situation is true, especially if he could get Manny on as part of TMT. I'm going to break down each paragraph here in comments so I don't lose track. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. Again, to wait for Manny and to egg Manny on to not renew his contract with Top Rank. I mean, that's all just a crock of shit. I mean, listen, you can't say it any other way. You can't say it any other way. Listen, anything could happen. God forbid, even Floyd could be in his next fight and get an injury that ends his career, and then the fight never happens. Manny Pacquiao could end up in a fight and end his career. I mean, listen, this is the hurt business, man. I know that Bob Arum himself says, oh, you got to marinate the fight, you got to do that. Yeah, okay, but you roll the dice. You roll the dice. Ask Bob Arum how much marination it took when he was trying to marinate a fight between Gamboa, Yorikis Gamboa, and Juanma Lopez. Ask him about that. That fell on it. That ended up with nothing. So no, $100 million, and let's be real, it's going to be more than that. So $150 million is a lot of money. And if somebody offered $150 million, you take it then. You take it then. I mean, okay. People could say, well, Billy, look, if he would have fought him 3 years ago, he would have only made 40. Now he's making $100 million more. Okay, but I agree with that. I agree with that. And quite honestly, I'll also make this statement. The truth of the matter is, if Floyd Mayweather loses the rest of his fights and Manny Pacquiao loses the rest of his fights, and then they do a swan song and fight each other for one last time, it'll still draw a lot of money. Don't you understand that it's not about the wins? It's not. The only people that care about the W's is Team Mayweather and all his crony fans. That's it. Everybody else that knows the sport knows that an O does not equate to quality. It just doesn't. He says, I don't think Floyd Mayweather is scared. I do think Manny has the best chance of beating Floyd with his angles and his unorthodox style. He's always one of the few fighters that can connect jumping punches. Manny does a very nice jump step with a variety of punches, and even in his losses, he's been able to catch people. It doesn't appear to have any tail, so I think a jump punch could stun Floyd. Plus, you can't shoulder roll. You can't shoulder roll or pull a counter punch. What does he say? You can't shoulder roll or pull a counter punch. You can't pull a jump punch. Also, Floyd Mayweather has a history of trouble with southpaws, and Zab, Corley, Shane, Ricky Hatton all stunned Floyd, so he can be stunned. So we'll see. Yeah, well, all those reasons are valid, but yet the first line you said is, I don't think Floyd's scared. Well, he obviously has some fear. Otherwise, he would have done it already. He says, if you look at the IBO rankings, Floyd Mayweather's last 5 opponents have all been ranked number 1. So it doesn't matter. Omar Navarez fought Nonito Donaire. He was considered one of the best fighters ever. But he had to fight Nonito Donaire that was 2 weight classes bigger, and he looked like garbage. Everybody was booing. So, I mean, come on, man. It's who you fight, and it's styles make fights. He says, so he's definitely fighting tough challenges of his era. However, I think you make a good argument that he's fought more challenges in their prime, that he could have fought more challenges in prime, except I don't count Margarito. Margaritos will always be a cheater to me. Mayweather should have ducked him. Let's not forget Guerrero was a 6-time champion. Listen, whatever. I'm not going to comment on that. It's the same stuff over and over and over and over and over and over. They all look good on paper. I know. Floyd's biggest problem is that he doesn't have any challenges, and he can barely manufacture challenges. So I have to ask you, Billy C., what did other fighters do in this case, especially one with brittle hands like Floyd Mayweather, and when money isn't a factor? Maybe you can name some examples of great fighters other than Robinson, or even your favorites, Harry Greb, that took risks after they arrived, and when they didn't have to, and succeeded, and their legacy were built on it. You can't use his girly, brittle hands as an excuse. I know he injects steroids in his hands, and he's so anti-steroids, but yet he uses them. I know, but you can't use the brittle hands as an example. Charlie Burley used to break his hand. He used to put his broken hand into the glove. I mean, he used to break him on the heavy bag. To name a few fighters and exclude Harry Greb and Sugar Ray Robinson, well, we just had somebody bring up Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. Here's a guy that had 100 wins or had 80 wins or whatever it was. He kept putting his record wins on the line. There's a guy. You talk about other older fighters. How about Stanley Ketchel? He fought Jack Johnson. He was a middleweight, by the way, Stanley Ketchel. Come on. How many more? Sugar Ray Leonard. Sugar Ray Leonard is a great example of a guy who, challenged himself. Came back from retirements, multi-retirements, 5 years, really. That one fight with Marvin Hagler was actually, you got to look at it as almost like a 5-year layoff. He came back after 2, and he fought Kevin Howard, looked terrible, and then was out again for 3 more, and then fought Hagler. So he's got to be in the mix. You got to put Roy Jones in the mix. Come on. Even Bernard Hopkins. Even Bernard Hopkins. Come on. He's got plenty of challenges. Anybody that what he needs to do is, pick somebody that, can contest to the fact that he's so great. If he's so great, then Floyd should be looking at people in the middleweight division right now. He's already, there's nobody in the welterweight division that he'll fight. He won't fight Timothy Bradley, and he won't fight Manny Pacquiao. The junior middleweight division, quite honestly, he beat one of the guys that were at the top of that, at least by statistics. And you know what? He's got 4 more fights left that he wants to do and then hang them up. Maybe he should go for total greatness. Get crazy, man. How about picking guys like Triple G, Andre Ward? Come on. Manny Pacquiao and Timothy Bradley. I'd love those 4. Come on. He says, the best ever definition you give was hilarious. Floyd Mayweather. What? The best ever? Floyd Mayweather says, Ali was the greatest, but I'm the best ever. So when fighters want to fight me, they say I don't want to fight him because he's the best ever. I saw Floyd Mayweather saying this on YouTube. Even Mayweather thinks it's funny. Mayweather's problem with this statement is that he doesn't have a defining moment. Ali's defining moment was beating George Foreman. Ali had many defining moments. You could argue that, nobody here. You could say his defining moment was when he beat my guy, Sonny Liston, especially in the rematch. You could also say that his defining moment was his 3 fights with Joe Frazier. I know it's more than one moment, but he had a lot of defining moments. So. And that's another difference. Muhammad Ali challenged himself, as a young fighter. He went after the best, the guy that everyone said he couldn't beat. Then he went after the guy that everyone said he couldn't beat again in Joe Frazier. Then he went after the guy that everyone said he couldn't beat again in George Foreman. This is Muhammad Ali. I just named 3 guys that everyone in the sports world said that Muhammad Ali didn't have a chance in hell in beating, and he beat all 3 of them. Everybody that says that about Floyd, they say, oh, he didn't have a chance of beating so-and-so, and he never fights him. He didn't have a chance beating Margarito. You call Margarito a cheater? Fine. He looked like he was a cheater. When they caught him, that's all we know for sure. But he had an opportunity to fight him, and he didn't. He always passes up the best guy. He picks the easiest of the crew. And there's a great example looking at Amir Khan. No disrespect to Amir Khan, but Amir Khan is a junior welterweight. Hasn't ever fought in the welterweight division. Ever. And he's, by the way, his last 4 fights, he's 2-2. So, He says Tyson had a slew of moments. Robinson had a fantastic career, many moments. Joan Lewis lifted the country. Harry Greb fighting Jack Johnson makes him great in my book. Harry Greb, he says, obviously we could go on and on about this. All these fighters had great historical moments, so I think Mayweather is thirsty for a moment like this. By the way, Harry Greb fought Jack Dempsey. He didn't, I don't think he fought Jack Johnson. You're thinking of Stanley Ketchel, I believe. But anyway, did he fight Johnson? Now you got me wondering. I don't think he did. He came after Johnson. But anyway, I don't know. Maybe one of the guys in the chat room. Maybe Henry's not there, but maybe Coach can enlighten us on that. But let's see. He says obviously we could go on and on about this. All these fighters had great historical moments, so I think Mayweather is thirsty for a moment like this. That's why he claims he's the best ever. It's like saying, who dares to prove me wrong? No, you're wrong. It's not like saying, who dares to prove me wrong? Because Marcos Medina will dare to prove him wrong. Manny Pacquiao will dare to prove him wrong. Triple G will dare to prove him wrong. All the fighters will dare to prove him wrong. He just won't take it. How can you say that? Nobody here, it makes no sense. Again, it's like you're blaming the rest of the boxing community because no one's good enough to fight Floyd, and he's like offering anybody who's good enough, and when that's a wrong statement. He picks the guys he wants. Everybody waits around. Even poor Amir Khan. He signed his side of the contract. Amir Khan is being dragged through the mire, wondering if he's going to get the fight or not. It's like a lottery. Floyd's got little ping pong balls that pop up. Oh, let's see. The first letter of his name is A. Let's see. M. Yeah. Let's see what else. I. R. Oh yeah. Amir. He's my guy. Yeah. Okay. Come on, man. If you're going to try to have give me reasons why you're supporting this guy, at least give me good ones. He says, so when I think we add everything together, the villain nature of Floyd, top ranks competition, thirst for the moment, no great challenges, and a desire to supplement his legacy, Mayweather's doing nothing more than building up the fight Manny 1 year in advance. And it's an open call for Manny and Manny's fans to put Manny on their shoulders and make Manny the biggest, baddest challenger in history. Because then after winning, Mayweather can be the best ever without question, except from the experts, and supplement his legacy. I think my view has merit because Mayweather may pick his opponents like all great champions. He may duck people. His methods may be questionable, but he clearly has a thirst. He clearly thirsts big moments, and he's patient enough to wait until the moment is upon him. Yeah, well, he better not wait too long because he may never get that moment. Boxing happens like that. He could slip and fall and shatter his knee and never be able to fight again. I mean, come on. The way this way historians will say Mayweather was so great that he could walk in the ring with Justin Bieber and beat you and outsmart you just like you stole something. I think as a side bar, being a black champion and retiring undefeated and with money means a lot to his camp, even though the racial component doesn't matter to me, nor does it matter in boxing history, but I think it matters to him. I think his camp will work hard to make sure this happens. Time will tell. Well, I think, people, Floyd fans call me a racist. I think that Floyd is a racist, to be honest with you. They call me a racist because I don't like Floyd, but I think Floyd actually promotes that. And for you to make these statements, he's not the best ever. And just by beating Manny Pacquiao will not get him that status. Okay, but I think that by fighting Manny Pacquiao and beating Manny Pacquiao, even if he doesn't beat Manny Pacquiao, it will definitely, be the exclamation point on his career. I think it's a fight that he has to fight. I'm sorry, I do. He says, in the annals of boxing, we know Mayweather will go down as a great champion, not the best. There will be endless debate of who the best ever is, the greatest. I think in history of sports, there's only one thing that matters, and that is the athlete owns the time and the moment he's in. I agree with that statement. And that's a good way to put it. He says that's all he can do. And I don't know, is he really doing that? Is he really doing that? You know, hell, I think they're in their respective eras. Earl, the Pearl, Dr. J, and Jerry West were all better than Michael Jordan. Whoa, time out. I mean, I was a big fan of Earl the Pearl and Dr. J and Jerry West. As a matter of fact, I used to like to shoot my free throws like that guy until, I realized that, it looks kind of funny. But Michael Jordan, I think, was the best basketball player ever to put on a pair of sneakers. That's my opinion. He says, but MJ was able to seize the moment much better, so he's remembered because of it. Floyd Mayweather's just following suit, so I think TBE is just an open letter for fans to produce a real challenger. They've tried to produce a challenger. He won't fight him. Listen, your Floyd love is just oozing from the sides. Lastly, and he laughs at me when he says, and he goes on to say, regarding money and payment in lines of work, and I'm sure all people listening to your show can relate, when someone is paid more than they think they're worth, they always perform poorly. This is well known in business, but I have to believe that's a little psychological, works in Mayweather's favor. That reason Maidana will be a better challenger than Khan, because he clearly doesn't have much care about much money. First of all, I never heard that. If you get if I think I'm getting overpaid for something, I'm going to act poorly. I mean, I'm going to do the job poorly. I don't know where you're getting that statistic, but I don't. Are you saying because of the innate guilt theory? I mean, I don't know. I think that I personally think that Maidana would be a better challenger too. But I addressed all your points. Thanks for the. I know he can type, man. And but wait, there's more, because nobody here says I really felt bad. All right, finally, we got a topic that's not on who. He says, I really felt bad for Mike Perez last night. He looked out of it, and Takeem is the guy he could have beaten decisively. I think Mike may need to step away for a while. I don't think he's taken Abdulzamov's condition very well. It's sad because I really think Perez could be a force in the heavyweight division. Abel Sanchez was funny in the pre-fight interview. He says, we aren't coming to hurt anyone. I chuckled when I heard that because this is boxing, and the person that doesn't come to hurt is hurt. Simple. I would expect Abel Sanchez just to say, hey, things happen in boxing, but he's too nice of a guy for that. As far as Pascal and Bute, this was a fun fight to watch. I don't think Pascal should have said that he was trying to set up a rematch. Someone should really coach him on things like that. It was a fun fight. I think Pascal should work on his accuracy. He could have KO'd Bute if he improved his accuracy. The HBO commentary was even more ridiculous. So between Max Kellerman and Jim Lampley, they couldn't come up with enough commentary to avoid silence from Roy Jones. I mean, Roy is in Pascal's corner. HBO thought he was supposed to comment on the fight at the same time. Please, I would love to know which producer thought that was a good idea. I thought it was terrible, and that HBO should be ashamed of themselves. I don't know what to tell you about Mike Perez. It's probably true that that's weighting heavily on him. But it is the sport. You know that you sign up for that. I think when you experience it, I don't think anybody can go through it unless they experience it themselves. Boom Boom Mancini is a great example of it. Obviously, Mago has as bad as he's off. He's better off than Boom Boom Mancini's opponent, Dooku Kim. But listen, it wasn't his night, and I don't know if he was exposed and Carlos Takeem was just that much better or what, but I'll get to that in a second. As far as Pascal and Bute, I didn't find it fun to watch at all. I look at Jean Pascal and I see a fighter that really, what skill does he have? We all kind of knew it, but he fought exactly. This guy has fought, with the exception of the Carl Froch fight back in whenever it was, 2008, 2009. That was a fight in which he fought the way he should have been fighting for the rest of his career. Since then, he fought the way he fought against Bute. What does it show us? I mean, it shows us that you're right, he's inaccurate. He never hits the same spot twice. And Lucien Bute didn't even want to be there. Jean Pascal should have knocked out Bute, and he didn't. So as far as the commentating goes, listen, I don't know what the attraction is with having fighters that are actually active in some way, shape, or form as part of the broadcast team. I think fighters that maybe have retired, like Roy Jones is Roy Jones is too much about talking about himself in the third. I mean, did you hear when he said, "Hey, you can't name him. He wants his idol in the corner. He wants his idol to give him, not experience, advice. He wants his idol to do this." And it's like, Roy, you're talking about yourself, bro. And then Roy taking the credit for teaching him a two-punch combination that he just used, and then HBO team going on to say the same thing. Matt's coming. Unbelievable. He taught him yesterday how to do that, and he's using it here in the 11th round or 10th round, whatever the hell it was. But anyway, thanks for the very long emails. Nobody here. And finally, the last one, Devin from Bombay, India says, "Hey, Billy C, I think Maidana has a better chance than Floyd's last two opponents, a puncher's chance. But Floyd probably will pick Khan, a guy who isn't even a welterweight. Is Floyd another Roy Jones Jr. who didn't fight the best at their best? Someone with great skills who will never even be mentioned as an all-time great? How many pay-per-views do you think Mayweather will get, and Mayweather Khan will get? I'll be shocked if it even gets 750,000. Listen, here's the truth. In life, generation replaces the next one. A new generation replaces the next one, and the next one, and the next one. Floyd will go down in history as being an all-time great, because there'll be plenty of footage on him, and a lot of you people will be talking about him when you're my age and older. As far as the best ever, I hope that he's never regarded as that, because he certainly isn't. As far as his opponents, I agree with you, Devin, 100%. I would rather see him fight Marcos Maidana. Not that I think Maidana would beat him, but it would just show us how Floyd fights against a guy like that, a guy that's not afraid to take a shot, a guy that's relentless, a guy that works the body, a guy that would probably be the best Marcos Maidana ever if he got an opportunity to fight Floyd. Personally, I'd want to see that. Not that I think that he would beat Floyd, but I think that I would be more interested in seeing it. Listen, as far as the Khan fight with Floyd, which we should expect an announcement this week, here's the thing. No matter what, Henry Haskup is in the chat room right now. He never fought, I knew that Harry Greb fought Jack Dempsey, but Harry Greb never fought Jack Johnson. That's what I was saying. I don't think he ever fought Jack Johnson. I think that my emailer got him confused with Stanley Ketchel. Because we know Stanley Ketchel fought Jack Johnson. But anyway, here's the bottom line. If you're adamant about the fight, and I'm talking about the rumored official Amir Khan going up against Floyd Mayweather, if you hate that fight and you're gonna not buy it, or you're saying you're not gonna buy it, here's my only advice to everybody out there. Number one, I didn't think so, Henry. Thank you for clarifying that. I think my man, nobody here, meant Stanley Ketchel. I don't think he meant Harry Greb. But anyway, here's the thing. Don't buy it. It's that simple. You guys want to make a statement? Really, let me tell you something. And this is what bothers me the most. Floyd Mayweather is very successful financially and everything else, career-wise and everything. But guess what? he can't make one penny without you. He can't be regarded as a great fighter or an all-time great or anything without you. Now, he's got enough fans that love him, and he's also got a lot of fans that hate him. But a lot of fans that hate him buy his fights because they can't wait to see him get, knocked the F out, right? So he's drawing from both sides. But here's the winning hand, ladies and gentlemen. Don't buy it. All you got to do is just say, no, don't buy it. Don't watch it. Watch it the next day on YouTube. Watch it the day after, whatever. You'll get a stream of it the next day, maybe not live. I'm not suggesting to go watch an illegal stream, but you'll be able to watch the fight live. Don't buy it. There's nothing more than getting your point across and your dislike of what he's doing by not paying for it. We all complain, but everybody buys it. Now, myself is a different situation because I buy it because it's my job. I have to report on it. But I would recommend that you don't. As a matter of fact, I strongly recommend that you do not buy Floyd Mayweather versus Amir Khan. I think that it's a total con job. You're just padding Floyd's bank account, and if you want to give him more money, just send him half of what it's going to cost you for the pay-per-view. Stick $40 in an envelope and mail it to Floyd, and you'll be contributing to Floyd's life, and you won't be suckered in for $80. I'm telling you right now, don't buy the fight. It's that simple. Don't buy it. Listen. It doesn't take rocket science. You want him to fight somebody good? Don't buy his next fight.
Talking Boxing with Billy C. Every week, 2 hours of the best boxing talk on the radio.
I have a bunch of questions, Donnell, right? If you feel like you want to, you can answer for JD first. Why will you win? JD Chapman, why will you win?
Baby Holmes will get sick and get hit by a train that day on the way to the fight, or he might have diarrhea, he might have the flu, he might throw up. One of his eyeballs might fall out that day, and I might get lucky.
Talking Boxing with Billy C. If you want your voice heard on Talking Boxing with Billy C, then call our hotline at 845-228-8710. Leave a voicemail, or you could just tell Billy C that you like his mustache.
Should I ask you your opinion about this idea?
I'm just trying to give you the encouragement.
Listen, all I need from you is to make sure you don't hang up on people.
And if we like your call, we'll play it back on the air.
You have the knowledge and wisdom of boxing because of what you do and how well you do it.
Leave your name, hometown, and what you think of the show. 845-228-8710. We want to hear you.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man. www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. And tell them Billy C sent ya.
The one, the only, Don King.
Makes me feel good, Billy, to have you, the #1 show in the country, Talking Boxing with Billy. So I invite each and every American that's listening to this great show to tune in, because we want you to be there with Billy and me.
Now back to Talking Boxing with Billy C. He may not have an Excellence in Broadcasting award, but the night's still young.
Got martinis.
So you never know what may be by morning. It's Talking Boxing with Billy C.
Talking Boxing with Billy C.
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. Glad you could join us. I love my Fight Now viewers. And hey, if you don't have Fight Now in your sports channel lineup, you need to call your local television provider and tell them that you want Fight Now right now. You looking for info on the channel? Visit their website, of course, www.fightnow.com. Don't forget, man. we got a lot of happenings. I know it's a long way away, but this June in Canastota, New York, for the International Boxing Hall of Fame induction weekend, we will not only be up there, and we're not only doing a Billy C get-together, but we're doing 2 live broadcasts from this year's Hall of Fame activities. You need to contact John at ldltv.com for information about where it's going to be, what time, what days, all that stuff. I do know this. It's one night we're going to be at a sports pub in East Syracuse, which is, I think, 2 exits up from the Hall of Fame exit in Canastota. And then the other night we will be at Graziano's, right, in Canastota. We're expected to have a lot of people from our show there, as well as you guys, the fans. If you reach out to John early enough, we'll make sure we get you on. We're also going to have some very special guests that John is working on. You're going to have to ask him about it for the Grazianos. In addition to all the all the access we'll have with all the great fighters that hang out at Graziano. So make sure you mark that one down. This is a great year to attend. And, of course, if you're looking to get information about that, you need to contact John at ldltv.com. All right, this weekend we had some fights, and, the big fight, Jean Pascal takes care of Lucien Bute in a 12-round fight. The way the judges officially scored it was 116-112, 118-110, and 117-111. Michael Buffer had read something wrong. I want to point something out, and Michael Buffer just jogged my memory. You know how I'm always picking on promoters, and I'm saying promoters don't promote, and they don't open up their checkbook and everything else? Well, the issue with that is 2 things. Number one, they don't promote, so therefore their fighters are not as well known as they should be, especially good fighters like Andre Ward. I'll use him as an example. But here's the thing. When a promoter that recognizes that promotion of an event is promoting the company, and the company is the promotion company, right? When you open up your checkbook and make that a little more enticing, or more interesting. If your event is bigger and better because you're willing to spend a little to make it, you get the returns. If you get the return in awareness for your fighters, well, then that'll net a bigger purse for that fighter down the road. But more often than not, it'll also help you fill up your venue. Now, I want to give credit to Yvonne Michelle from GYM, who was the promoter of the fight along with HBO this past weekend up in Canada. And here's the thing, this guy didn't spare any expense. He brings Michael Buffer in to do the ring announcing. Michael Buffer's not a cheap out, man. I mean, this is a guy that costs a lot of money to bring in. He's got Michael Buffer there. Now, granted, they always have a lot of entertaining stuff going on in Montreal. If you've never seen a fight in Montreal, man, you got to go see one. I personally love the go-go dancers in between rounds. I mean, yes, I will admit, seeing all the gorgeous girls is very hard for me to pay attention to fights at times. But, hey, I look at the ring card girls too. But this guy did a great job. And you know what the end result was? A packed house. A packed house. And don't tell me that it was a packed house just because of Jean Pascal fighting Lucien Bute, because he's always got a packed house. If you need money to make money, these guys think that all they got to do is put on a fight and people are going to come in and buy fight tickets, fight fans. But no, there's more than that. And I want to give kudos to GYM because they did it the way it should be done. They spent a little money and they made it all back. So congratulations to them and HBO, obviously, for doing a good, having a good event. They had almost 22,000 people there. But anyway, back to the fight. Jean Pascal, he improves to 29-2 with a draw, and Lucien Bute 31-2 now with 24 of his wins coming by knockout. What did I think of the fight? I wasn't that impressed. I really wasn't. I lost. I picked Bute in the fight. I figured Bute would outbox him. Bute's not the same fighter. Bute showed exactly zip in there. Zip. With the exception of the last 2 rounds, it's like he doesn't even have an interest in fighting anymore. And I'll tell you another thing. He's scared to death to get hit. Jean Pascal, come on, man. He's just a wild maniac. What's next for Jean Pascal? What's next for Lucien Bute? What's next for Lucien Bute, I think, it should be retirement, to be honest with you. Jean Pascal, he just got himself a fight. Don't be surprised if you see Jean Pascal fight Adonis Stevenson after the Fonfara fight. Personally, I think the Fonfara fight was a mistake for Team Stevenson because they have 2 big money fights in front of them, and Jean Pascal is one of them. But you could also possibly see Jean Pascal fight Sergey Kovalev, and then the winner fighting Kovalev, between Pascal and Kovalev fighting Adonis Stevenson. Listen, there's a lot of good fights for Jean Pascal. Chad Dawson and B-Hop is not one of them. I don't want to see those fights again. But maybe Tavorius Cloud, maybe Grachov, maybe even Tony Bellew in there. Bebot Shumanov looks like he's going to fight Bernard Hopkins, but even that. Listen, Jean Pascal got himself another big payday coming up, so we'll see what happens there. As far as Lucien Bute goes, I think it's time for Lucien Bute to hang him up. I mean, listen, number one, a lot of times fighters, when they start to age, their skills start to erode and they take a vicious beating and it's time to stop. But their desire is there. I think that once your desire is gone, it's really time to stop. Why take a beating? Anyway, in the co-main event, fresh off of his last fight with Mago Abdulzamov, Mike Perez stepped in the ring with World Boxing Federation World Heavyweight Champ Carlos Takim. Listen, the early rounds, in my opinion, let me tell you this. The one judge scored it, 96-94 in favor of Takim, and the other 2 had it even at 95-95. Here's the thing. That fight, I thought Takim won. You could argue and say, well, the first 5 rounds was Mike Perez, and then the last 5 rounds, I mean, it would be really hard to argue that Takim had the better of Perez in the second half of the fight. As a matter of fact, those last 2 rounds, I thought he was going to put, especially the last round, I thought he was going to put Mike Perez down. Mike Perez wasn't doing anything. Wasn't throwing punches. He was certainly taking a lot of punches. Was it the Mago Abdulzamov fight? Was it the points that maybe Max Kellerman was correct on saying when he said maybe, we're all looking at the mental aspect of the Abdulzamov fight, but what about the physical aspect? Maybe we saw that on Saturday night. What I saw was an extremely close fight. And, you could argue that's, a couple of those early rounds you could have given to Takim. I'm not calling it a robbery because it was close. But, my unofficial thought was that Takim squeaked out the win. But nonetheless, they both end up with a draw. Carlos Takim is now 29-1-1 with 23 of his wins coming by knockout. Mike Perez, he's 20-0 with a draw. On the undercard, there was some other fights. Sebastian Gauthier took care of his opponent. He improved to 22-4-1 with Javier Franco. Franco drops to 20-11. Mikhail Zawiski, they gave him a real cream puff to improve him to 23-0. The rest of the card. In the heavyweight division, Oscar Rivas improved to 13-0 with 8 knockouts when he stopped Sean Cox at 2 minutes and 53 seconds of the third round. Sean Cox, I believe, was a light heavyweight that moved up to cruiserweight and now is at heavyweight. So, there was another fight that opened it up. Arthur Bute made his record is now 4-0 with 4 knockouts. Now, yes, he was given a guy that had a losing record, but Gabriel Lecrosinier had a lot of fights, 16-25 with 3 draws. So a guy would fight in his 4th pro fight. You can't really knock him too much for that. David Tornado Sanchez seemed like a tornado when he knocked out Marcos Di Semilio in the 4th round to improve to 24-2-2. Also on Saturday, Horatio Garcia improved to 25-0 with 17 knockouts when he took care of Fernando Lumacad in the very first round. The co-main on that card was Yasmin Rivas scoring a 10-round unanimous decision over Calextia Salgado, who drops to 11-2. In Florida, down in Miami, Azia Augustama improved to 16-1 with 9 knockouts when he took care of Jermaine Mackey, who drops to 18-7, 80-72, and 79-73 twice, with the way the judges scored that one. Now on Friday nights, we had a Showbox card. And, nothing for nothing, but, I think that Steve Farhood and Barry Tompkins are by far, in my opinion, not that I don't want the job, but I think that they're the best broadcast team out there right now. Nobody does a broadcast like these two. They don't give you unnecessary BS. They call it like it is, and they know what they're talking about. As a commentator, when you're watching a fight, isn't that what we want to hear from the commentators? And I think that Steve Farhood and Barry Tompkins don't get the credit that they deserve. And considering that this card was, I don't know about you, but I thought it was terrible. I had a hard time. To be honest with you, this whole weekend, I loved the fights and everything, and I watched them all. But, the ones on HBO and Showtime were not too exciting. I'm sorry, they weren't. But nonetheless, Ivan Reddick improved to 16-0 with 13 knockouts when he won a 10-round decision over Tony Luis. And 99-90, 97-92, 97-93. I don't know about you, but I had this fight a hell of a lot closer than that. I think Reddick won the fight, but I think that you have a good case to say that this fight was a draw. Or I wouldn't even argue if you told me, 96-95 in favor of Luis, or 96-95 in favor of Reddick, or in this case 96-94, because of the knockdown. But I thought it was a close fight. I can't believe, Ivan Reddick was out of gas after 4 rounds, man. And the second half of the fight was Luis. He was landing more punches. He was throwing more punches. You got to knock the guy. Listen, you go in and you fight in somebody's backyard. You're being brought in as the opponent. You're fighting the star. You got to knock him out. The co-main event had Frank Galarza win against John Thompson. And what a beautiful knockout that was. John Thompson looked like, it looked like he was going to outbox him. It looked like he was going to be smart after that first round, and then Galarza just came out and just knocked him out. It was that simple. Galarza improves to 12-0 with a couple of draws, 8 wins coming by knockout, and John Thompson drops to 14-1. In a fight that was another one that was a snooze fest, Maurice Hooker and Abel Ramos fought to a draw, and the bottom line is that Ramos came on strong in the last part of the fight, but again, this fight was ruled a draw. But you could argue that maybe Ramos could have squeaked it out. I don't know. But 8-0 with a draw now for Abel Ramos, 12-0 with 2 draws for Mighty Mo Hooker, 77-75 for Hooker, and the other two had it as a draw. And then in a fight that was strange, Antoine Douglas improved to 12-0 with 7 knockouts, and he looked fantastic in the first part of the fight. Then he ran out of gas, and his corner's saying it's the cold, and immediately the HBO team is saying, oh, I didn't notice that he had any sniffles. I don't think he had a cold. I don't think they meant that he had a cold. I think they meant that it was freezing cold because, they didn't have any heat on in that place, and apparently it was pretty cold in Tennessee that night, and I think that Douglas is used to warm weather, and I think that the cold of the arena was bothering him, but that's just my opinion. But nonetheless, Marque Davis lost the fight. My buddy Sherman Henson was in the corner. Davis never had a shot at Douglas, but it was one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen when he pulled his tooth out, when he spit his tooth into his glove and then kicked it across the floor. Then he told Sherman to go find it, and luckily somebody else brought it, and they had the camera on it, the whole tooth. I thought it was just a piece of it, but the whole tooth and the root, I mean, that had to hurt like you wouldn't believe. Nonetheless, Douglas improves to 12-0 with 7 knockouts, and Marque Davis loses the first time in his career, 8-1 now with a couple of draws. That's what took place on Friday. Now, Floyd Mayweather in the news was first of all, they're really unhappy with Floyd Mayweather in South Africa. Well, not all of them, just all the boxing people and the fans. But apparently, Floyd said at a dinner that he made an official announcement that his last fight will be September of 2015, will be his very last fight, no exceptions. And, he plans on ending hhis career 49-0. And I personally think, if you're going to go to 49-0, why don't you go for one more, Floyd, 15-0. But, he claimed at this dinner that he's still debating on who he's going to fight, whether it be Amir Khan or Marcus Maidana, is what Floyd said is the final two people that he's choosing from. But the thing is that his so-called little brother, Adrian Broner, he's wants to invoke the rematch clause, so that's going to direct Floyd, and Floyd's going to say, well, I didn't want to take that rematch away from Broner, so I'm going to take Amir Khan. But here's the catch with that. From what I understand, Marcus Maidana has not signed that contract yet. And as a matter of fact, they're pushing for Floyd, so you never know. And one last thing on Floyd, and I hope really it's the very